Thomas wasn't feeling very well. He felt very weak and he just didn't have the strength needed to pull his coaches, Annie and Clarabel. His driver and fireman were worried. "It's been a few years since you last visited the workshop," said his driver. "I think it's about time you went in for a heavy overhaul." Thomas didn't like the prospect of going to the workshops, but he was too weak to argue. Percy was sent for, and he towed Thomas away.
Don't worry, Thomas, I'm sure they'll look after you in the workshop.
It's going to be horrible, Percy. I'm sure they'll dismantle me.
They probably will, but you can't carry on like this.
I know. You're right, but I'm still not looking forward to it.
Percy shunted Thomas into a siding. A very forlorn Thomas was left alone to contemplate his fate. Meanwhile, Toby took over Thomas's duties.
Come on, girls. I'll be looking after you for a few weeks. I'll take good care of you. No need to worry.
Oh, he's such a very polite engine.
I agree, Annie, he's such a gent.
Thomas can learn a few things about manners from him.
Get away with it, you two. You're making me blush.
The following day, James was sent for to collect Thomas from the siding. James towed lifeless Thomas off down the line to the workshop.
Come along, Thomas. I'm sure the fitters will do a good job and you'll soon be as good as new.
Do I really have to go, James?
Yes, if I didn't take you to the workshop, I would be in real trouble with Sir Topham Hatt.
Several weeks later, a revitalised Thomas returned under his own steam. He hummed and whistled as he sped along the line, ready to be reunited with his beloved coaches, Annie and Clarabel. Annie and Clarabel were delighted to see him. He was like a brand new engine and full of vigour and ready to take on anything. However, the workshop had left Thomas's handbrake very stiff. It made his brakes feel like they were on, when in fact they weren't. Thomas's driver and fireman had to learn to be extra careful. But one day Thomas's fireman was ill and a relief man took his place. The driver told the relief fireman about the brake, but unfortunately he didn't pull the lever on hard enough. Thinking that Thomas's brakes were on, he nipped off to the canteen for a cup of tea, leaving Thomas's driver on the platform. Thomas simmered happily, resting his eyes and completely unaware that there was a problem. Thomas suddenly woke up as he felt his wheels begin to move. He tried to stop, but he couldn't without his driver and fireman. He tried to whistle a warning, but he couldn't do that either. Thomas, Annie and Clarabel gathered speed out of the station. The coaches shrieked as they rounded the curve, but Thomas, with plenty of steam, kept on going. Thomas's quick-thinking driver phoned the airfield, where Harold the helicopter was fully fueled and ready to take off. As Harold rose into the air, Thomas rocketed past at high speed. Harold held his breath as he followed Thomas down the line, expecting disaster at any moment, but below, Thomas was starting to tire. Thomas saw Harold land just ahead of him. An inspector ran towards him. By now Thomas was going very slowly. The inspector jumped up into his cab and pulled the brake lever hard.
Thanks, Harold and Mr. Inspector. You've saved me, not to mention Annie and Clarabel. Oh dear, it looks like I'll have to go back to the workshop.
Cheer up, said the inspector. You'll only be there for a couple of hours. It's a simple adjustment and quite painless. We should have got it done before. I'll send for James to tow you back to the station. You'll be as right as rain in no time at all.
So, James, what do you think of it then?
It was okay, little Thomas.
The runaway scene was very exciting.
Yes, it was very exciting. You were really lucky not to come off the rails.
It was nothing. I'm used to going fast, so Topham Hatt has ever trusted me to put in a good performance.
Didn't Harold do well?
I suppose so, but he's such a show-off. He thinks he's so superior just because he doesn't have to stick to the rails.